So I'm Bea. I work at, I'm the owner, I'm a director of a company called Futureheads Recruitment, and this was also my first South by Southwest. I was lucky enough to do about 20, see about 20 really inspirational speakers, but I've chosen somebody to speak about today for three reasons. One, they're a really fabulous example of really good entrepreneurial spirit and being really successful financially. Also, a really good example of how good user experience helps you improve a product or a service. And finally, it's not just about the money, and it's about working ethically to really help a community. So today I'm going to talk to you about Brian Chesky. And if you don't know Brian Chesky, he is one of the three founding members of Airbnb. He grew up in the States. Both of his family members were kind of social workers, so he grew up in quite a rootsy culture. And he said, when he was growing up, his parents said to him, you know what, all we want from you, and when you grow up and you have a job, is to have really good health insurance. And that was pretty much the only thing that they wanted him to have. But then when he went to school, he was very clearly a designer. And his teacher, on his last day of school, said to him, do you know what, it's time for you to design the world. So Brian's story really starts in 2007. In 2007, he went to a new town in America with a couple of his mates. He had $1,000 between them, and the apartment that they wanted to rent actually cost $1,150. So they were $150 short. So they looked in the back of their car, and they had 3 inflatable mattresses, hence the name Airbnb, and they tried to rent them out. And the reason that they tried to rent them out was because there was a music festival on, all the hotels were booked, and they thought they'd get a bunch of hippies who would rent out these inflatable mattresses. But actually what they got was quite well-heeled, middle-class people willing to pay quite a lot of money to sleep on these inflatable mattresses. In 2008, a year later, Brian was looking for funding for this idea, and basically every single investor that he talked to kind of laughed him out the building. They would say, like, so you're going to find strangers on the internet and get them to live into your house? Nobody's going to do that. So he approached all these investors, and believe it or not, he was offering them between 10 and 25% of Airbnb for $10,000, about £7,000, and nobody took him up on it. That business is now a multi-billion-pound business. In 2009, just 2 years later, he now has 100 users in New York City, and he thought, better to have 100 really engaged users than 1 million that aren't that interested in him. I love that one of the first things he did actually was when he got his first proper check, he hired a Pixar artist to map out the whole user journey of what it would feel like to check into an Airbnb place. And he did loads of other stuff that I love, and I thought that was really clever as well. So when Hurricane Sandy hit, for example, one of the users in New York City actually wanted to rent their room out for free to the victims of Hurricane Sandy. And actually what he did is he changed the infrastructure of the product so that you were able to do that, and actually he helped market those rooms for free. So in the end, there was 2,500 people that he helped during Hurricane Sandy, and Obama gave him a personal kind of thank you for that. He also gave another really good example. 50% of people under 30 in Spain are unemployed, but they have really amazing housing and they have a really amazing landscape. So he's now put them on the kind of international map, and they can now use this housing to help rebuild a struggling economy. So now Airbnb exists in every country they're allowed to. They've got 630 staff, and actually he's interviewed every single one of them, one by one. I really like a quote that he talks about. He talks about brand is not what you tell your customers, it's actually what your customers tell their friends. And I think that's great, but it's great because it's not just lip service. Brian still lives in Airbnb housing all of the time, and he continues to feel that experience and tries to iterate and improve it. And it turns out that people do really love their homes, and that's why people live in them. Thanks.